Happiness can be found in the darkest of times. Yeah, right. I mean, it's hard for me to say a lot about this, in the most cheery of tones, but I will try. Because some of what happens in this world is unspeakably horrendous and horrific. From the human perspective, in the human condition, it is awful. There's some awful stuff happening to humans around this world, and perhaps to you who was watching this video. Think about it. Can you find happiness in the darkest of times in your life, right? In your darkest hour? Can there be happiness? Can there be some light gleaming from the darkness? Can you find a pinhole in the pitch black screen put in front of you? Is there a pinhole, and what's behind it? Some light, right? Can you find it? Can you see it? Can you allow it to be there? Well, what if I told you the teachings have told me, yes, it's always present. The light, the love, the happiness, it's there all the time. Does the sun ever go away? No, it's always there in the sky, isn't it? It's obscured by clouds, right? It's covered up, but there it is again. So imagine this dark moment for a moment. This is how it was explained to me properly, The dark moment you're in, or you've been in, is just the biggest, most horrific thunderstorm you've ever seen. It's just lightning everywhere. There's tornadoes there. Everything conceivable. End of the world stuff. This is the biblical stuff. And all of a sudden, you stop and understand, and somehow during all the chaos of the storm, that the sun, the light, is just behind this layer of clouds. And that somehow it will break through, most likely, unless the world is to end from this storm or some other event. What you're likely to find is the sun is still there. In life, how do you find happiness in these dark moments? Here's what I've leaned on and has been the rock in this life of late, not my whole life for sure. The teachings have helped me understand this. It's just a lack of understanding on my part of the master plan. I, a part of something bigger, cannot understand that of which I am a whole of, right? A part of the whole. I can't understand the whole as a part, I'm trying to say. It just doesn't make sense. How can I don't know the master plan and how this event plays into that master plan. Can anyone out there say that a tragic event in their life honestly has led to something beautiful? Is it possible that is true? Has it happened to you? I'd love to hear about that. All right, I know it's some painful memories in there, but at the same time, it's possible that when you zoom out at the end of a life, or as your life progresses, and you look at it on a piece of paper, like the strings attached in the movies and the scenes they're putting together, if you put all that together and you see that something beautiful came out potentially out of a major, major problem that you had. I've had a handful of those, right? And it just moments of just pure dark. It was just a dark moment. And the moment I was just a walking. I was not alive. I was not fully alive. I looked sick, right? I was in that storm, and it felt horrible. And I didn't know what to do. It just felt like there was no way out. All of a sudden, somebody swoops in and explains in such a way through a book what was happening at just the right moment. At just the right moment, the book finds me through my daughter, on a bookshelf in a store. Really cool story. She just picked the book, handed it to me, or at least there was an exchange there, and I bought the book. And this book is called One Mind by Dr. Larry Dossey. And I had the great pleasure of speaking with Dr. Larry after reading the book. It was a wonderful moment, and I was in a very dark place. And his words and that moment were all I needed. And that led me on this path about 5 or 6 years ago. And for the next 4 or 5 years after that, After that, I was fully devoted to the study and going forward with the wisdom teachings. It became all I ever wanted to talk about, care about, and the ego had a role in this, right? Let me tell you what happens based on my experience. Jeff, right? Ego Jeff felt really, really superior, right? Having gone out of a dark situation, I felt really, really good about knowing something that most people didn't know, right? Oh man, that feels good, right? There's juice. You're squeezing the juice out of that, right? But I found something funny about that because it's there, all right. I feel like there's always a little carrot that's be held out to get the mind interested, like a superiority idea or some kind of idea, and all of a sudden it's being undermined, the mind, undermined, you know, because what it's trying to be superior about is unraveling it as a whole. Isn't that crazy? It's paradox, right? Paradoxical. Because the studying work that was being done was to pull me out of a dark place, right? The ego wanted to be rescued. It did. It was very a lot of sad. The mind, it was stuck in a loop. So this book really helped that too, right? So it pulls you out, and the teachings infiltrate and penetrate the thick wall or the thin veil, depending how you want to look at it, of the mind. And it pokes little holes through it, right? And in the end, the more holes you get poked, the more lights come in, more light can come in. And the way the reprogramming starts to happen. And right under the nose of the mind, you know, right under its nose, like something doesn't smell right here. Okay, we're still learning, still feeling better than everybody else. So let's keep up with the good work here. And eventually the mind just kind of, it's less offensive what's being read and listened to, right? You know, it's funny. There's this moment where the mind is saved. You know, this moment of saving grace when this teaching comes, and then there's this ownership of it and this ego trip part of it for me, right? Like, oh man, now I'm saved, so I'm superior now. This I'm the best. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Now I can't hang on him no more, right? It's exclusivity, elite. You know, the elite status of that. All right, it's all bogus bullcrap. But it works, right? Appreciate the mind is what I learned from this, and what it can be if you're the master of it. You know, if you're the master of this mind, and you're not a slave to it, you know, you are not under its control. It's there, you acknowledge it, but it doesn't own you in any way, shape, or form. Okay, you are its master, right? It became subservient to you to some degree, not all the time, and that's the power. There it is, right there. In your darkest moment, how do you find happiness? Let it come. I didn't plan for the darkness to end the way it did. It ended in such a way that it was perfect, absolutely perfect. And I look back on that event and many events related to it and say, thank God, right? Use that word here. For what happened. I know exactly where I don't want to go and can't go again. And here's why I got there. And here's what the lesson was. All this was unpacked, right? It's like you get this very tightly packed package in the mail, and you have to like open up layers of it and throw paper out, and like it's and like eventually you get to the idea, oh my gosh, that's why it happened. Maybe that's not true for everyone here. Maybe it hasn't come yet. Maybe you're still in it. No matter what the case is, I love you all. I hope you find happiness within you. I hope it becomes part of your daily life and practice. And if you have any questions, comments, leave them below. I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.